last, traveler, you make your way to a tavern. A waitress appears, a good-looking one. What is that scent? It's the smell of the new hardwood floors. Hey you guys, welcome back to Bareforged Hobbies. I want to stay on the topic of basing. I would like to show you how I make bases that look like the good old hardwood floors. You know, the kind of floors you would find in maybe a tavern or a brewery kind of setting. And the best thing about it is that I get to use my favorite coffee stirrers. Okay, so I had this girl sitting right here on my desk together with a few others awaiting their turn to get a proper paint job. She is Innkeeper Sophie from Reaper Miniatures Bones line. I'll add a link to her in the description below. I quickly put her together with some poster putty, just to get a feel for what she looks like assembled. She already has a base that was sculpted like a hardwood floor. This base, however, is less than 1 inch in diameter, so I have to get creative if I want Sophie to look good on a 1 inch base. I like how the sculptor made this pretty joint between the pieces here with nails. I'm going to make sure that I will honor these joints. And I got my Sophie glued to her new base. If you'd like to see how I did that, you could watch my other video about sawdust basing technique. I decided not to assemble the wings just yet. I'm not sure if I'll want them in the future, and it's just kind of irrelevant to this video anyways. Next, I'm going to need some coffee stirrers. I got a bunch here. Well, let's pick a couple. Now, let's break off a piece of a coffee stirrer. Just kind of eyeball the length. It needs to be slightly longer than the surface that it's going to cover. And I just want to get a feel for what it will look like before I start permanently gluing my wooden floor. The original sculpt had it at about a 45-degree angle. I like that. I think it's a little more character than a straight 0 or a 90-degree angle. I'm using a super glue here. When laying down the first piece, it's easier to get the super glue onto this piece as opposed to the base. Lay it down in place and give it a little press. You could use a toothpick or some other tool with a fine tip to press down precisely across the piece. I like the toothpick because a wood will not leave a horrible mark on wood in case it was pressed too much. And it's time to do it again. Measure an approximate length of the new piece, break it off, put some glue on it, lay it down in place, press it down, and give it a few taps with the toothpick, nice and easy. Now I'm going to go around the figure. I'm marking where I'm going to cut this piece and an approximate angle of the cut. Going to use my good old X-Acto knife to cut this little piece off. And let's see how that fits. That's actually pretty good. I like how that fits. Alright, now remember how I said that I will honor the sculptor's original base art? Well, this is it right here. I'm marking the place where the joint between the two pieces would be. And cut. You can use the sharp tip of your X-Acto knife to help you work with a tiny piece like this one. Give it some super glue and gently put it in its new place. And here's the end piece in this row. So I'm pretty sure at this point you got a nice and solid idea of what this process is like. I'm just going to skip to the final piece now. And here it is, the final piece. As you can see, I'm actually putting the glue onto the base here, not on the coffee stirrer. Once you got a couple of pieces in place, it's actually easier to start putting the glue on the base because now you can precisely tell where the piece of wood is going to go. And I had a little overflow of the glue, so I just used a tiny piece of a paper towel to wipe it off. Not a big deal at all. Now that the glue is dry, I'm going to trim off the edges with the X-Acto knife. Just be careful not to trim off too much. And I wasn't careful. I ended up chipping off a piece. I decided to glue it back. I thought it would give some character to the finished base, but it actually ended up not standing out at all. So a bit of a time waste here, but I guess it's a lesson learned. So whatever, let's just move on. Now I'm going to exaggerate these wooden planks. In the world of miniatures, exaggeration is usually a good thing. I'm going to make some cuts in between the planks. This creates extra room for the wash to flow in. I'm also going to scratch the surface of the planks for the same reason, just more room for the wash. You don't really have to think too much, just scratch it here and there. The only thing to watch out for is to not scratch the miniature. That wouldn't be cool, and if I did that, you guys would probably be laughing at me right now. Okay, that part went well. Next, I'll need to fill in a few tiny gaps between the miniature itself and the wooden pieces. To do that, I'm going to use some green stuff. You most likely know what it is and where to get it. If not, no worries. I'll post a link to it in the video description. I had this roll of green stuff for quite a while now. It feels like it's more dry than it used to be, and I have to use more water when mixing it. I'm probably gonna grab a new roll pretty soon. If you guys have any cool suggestions on what to do with this old roll, please tell me in the comments below. I once again found a toothpick to be handy here. Just get those gaps filled smoothly. Make sure there is no excessive green stuff sticking out from anywhere. Before I start painting, I glued some coffee stirrers to a piece of a pink foam. This gives me the same surface as my new base to try out some paints. For the hardwood floors that I've already done, a dark brown, a light brown and a beige usually worked quite well. Now I don't want to repeat my previous work over and over again, so here's the list of the colors I ended up using for this particular base. These are all Reaper miniature paints except for the wash. Alright guys, let's get painting. First of all, let's get the base color down all over the base. Once the whole base is covered with the base color, it's time to pop the wash. Soak this whole base in the wash, don't be afraid. Once the wash is dry, you'll get the base color back by performing a hard dry brush. And for the dry brushing, first of all, use the base color kind of hard. Make sure you get the higher points back to the base color. Then use the median color, not as hard as the base. And at last, the light color. Very light application, just touch up those very high points, watch out, don't overdo the light color. After the dry brushing was done, I felt like certain details were not exaggerated enough to my liking, in particular the spaces between the planks and the holes of the nails. So what did I have to do? I took a dark brown paint and painted over those areas. That created more contrast, thus making each individual plank stand out more. And the final touch. I took some silver metallic paint and painted the nail heads with the fine tip of my brush. Alright, presentation time. I really like how this base turned out. I've never done the plank joints with nail heads before. A little extra work on these little details added much more character to the wooden floor. Overall, I'm happy. Well, I guess that's it for this one. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a few lines in the comments below. Okay? Have a good one. Cheers.